I wasn't invited to my graduation. My head was too large to be fitted for a cap. The cranial circumference was too great. Couldn't buy a motorcycle helmet either.
So you have a large head.
Yes. Near as I can determine, it's about 6 standard deviations above the norm. The odds against having a head the size of mine are millions to one.
And the odds of having an intelligence such as yours?
Also millions to one, but we can't necessarily infer from that that there's a correlation. We'd have to have more cases of big-headed, intelligent people. My own personal opinion is, yes, head size does influence intelligence.
Size does matter.
It has to. Size does matter. I mean, if you take a very small creature with a very small head, you're never going to see a lot of intelligence out of it. Take a centipede. How smart are they? Not very smart. On the other hand, take a house cat. Well, that's somewhat smarter. Take a larger-headed creature, a monkey, even smarter than a house cat. Now take a really large-brained creature like a man. Smarter still. It seems that there is some kind of correlation going there.
What would be the volume of your brain?
Don't know. Haven't actually done it. I could do it by volumetric displacement using the Archimedean method of submerging my head in a tub of water, seeing how much water is displaced by doing that. But I haven't done that yet. I show up at Reed College, which was at the time one of the top liberal arts institutions in the country, very exclusive. They had a different style in the classroom than I was used to. You couldn't get a word in edgewise. I mean, these kids were constantly talking, asking questions, and that's a healthy way to learn. I mean, I don't hold it against them. It's just that it was a lot of culture shock. Also, the marijuana. I mean, I wasn't used to the drug use that was all around. They crammed me in a room with 3 other guys, banging their girlfriends on the bunk above me in the other room. There were some other things, too, that had gone wrong. My roommates had become involved in some kind of riot or demonstration. Cars were turned over and burned. They were insisting that I should have been expelled, despite the fact that I had nothing to do with this incident. I was in the library. They never even called me. No one wanted to talk to me to ask whether I had been there. Maybe that's one of the reasons nobody came to me and said, hey, where's your parents' financial statement? This is an easy way to get rid of him. We just, won't make any waves and hope that he doesn't get that statement in on time. Once I found this out, I simply left. I didn't take my finals or anything like that. Academia stinks, and it's not always the student's fault when something like that happens. Academia is a heartless, cold bureaucracy. I had to hold a bag of plasma for a guy who had 11 pieces of double-aught buck embedded in him. He was shot through a door with a 12-gauge shotgun. I've been shot at on numerous occasions. I've seen a lot of guys stabbed with knives. I've seen people throw each other off 20 or 30-foot balconies. I've seen people stab each other with sticks. And I was just there to try to prevent the situation from getting any worse than it had to be. Bar bouncing. Being a security guy in nightclubs. It was a Ramada Inn in Bozeman, Montana, where you have a lot of cowboys and shit kickers. Cowboys get drunk, start fights, and try to put the make on each other's women. That's essentially their lifestyle. That's what a cowboy does. There were a few incidents that I helped out with. The bar owner decided it might be a good thing to have me around there every night and to pay me. Police fall into being policemen for roughly the same reason. Psychologically, they're just in that mode. I want to apply authority to other people. I want to apply it forcefully if need be. I'm not really doing anything differently than they are, except I'm taking a lot more risks for a lot less money and fewer benefits. You've got to concentrate on what you're doing when you're breaking up a fight, but the rest of the time, my mind is usually someplace else. Off in another world. A mental world. My own private space. Despite the fact that very loud music is playing. I've actually had some very good ideas while I'm bouncing. I used to carry around a little pad and a pencil. One thing that I noticed was, if I had some complex stuff in memory and a bar fight happened, and I had to go indulge in some physical violence, that usually my memory was erased when I'd get done with the fight. I mean, it would be gone. Irretrievable. One time I was thinking about artificial intelligence, then that evolved into a whole new way of looking at neural networks. Suddenly this horrible fight erupted. I set the page down, and I mopped up the fight, and I came back over and my piece of paper was gone. I tried and tried and tried to find that piece of paper. Nobody could tell me where it was, and I couldn't remember what the hell I'd written on it.
Well, why do you want to be in an environment where there's violence?
What makes you think that I want to be in these environments? Did I say that I wanted to be in these environments? I fell into this line of work. In order to get out of a line of work, you've got to get into something else. Well, I did. I got into construction. I was a Forest Service firefighter for a long time. These things take a toll on you. I have a trick knee now. My lower back went on me. Do hard labor for 20 or 25 years, and it's going to take its toll. And finally, you're grateful for the chance to have a job where you just stand there and watch most of the time. If I can ever get out of it, then I will be happy to do so. I would love it. I don't think we should live in a violent world. I think that everybody should be wonderful and kind to each other. But let's face facts, shall we? Very few people are kind to each other. It's not the kind of world we live in yet. If I have anything to say about it, it will be the kind of world we live in someday. This is a feeding frenzy we're in here. Everybody is trying to wring as much out of this planet as they possibly can. Pollution, overpopulation, militarism on the parts of foreign governments, poverty problems. We've got a lot of people starving to death. Diseases out there on the horizon that need to be cured. Forms of pollution that we couldn't even have imagined a century ago, including radioactive waste. The sea is becoming a desert. We're running out of farmland. We're losing the ozone layer. Polar ice caps are melting. We have a lot of problems now. How do we do what's right? How do we fulfill our destiny here on planet Earth and beyond? Colleges and universities purport to be harnessing intelligence for the good of mankind. They're a breeding house for parrots. People are allowed to make little tentative moves forward, but they're not really allowed to do anything too radical.
But does academia claim to have a solution to the ills of the world?
As soon as you announce that you have a little bit of money to spend, virtually every hand, and there will be a lot of hands that reach out for that money, will belong to a professional academic. They're hogging all the resources that should go to solving these problems. We need an alternative to academia. And the alternative to academia is the ultra-high IQ community. Smart people are vastly outnumbered by average people. It's the nature of the bell curve. So in any kind of democratic society, average people are going to end up calling the shots. To the very top of our economic and socio-political structure are dunces. El stupido. People who don't have a clue. When you turn a bunch of dunces loose, this is what tends to happen. Dunsical equilibrium. Mediocrity has triumphed. Everywhere you look, you see signs of mediocrity. The stupid person